So a lot of people who I talk to who are running close to seven-figure financial advisory businesses, they're doing a significant amount of revenue, and they still kind of wonder what's going to happen if their current engine, their current lead engine falls off, kind of dies away. A lot of people turn to Facebook ads as a good, happy secondary way of attracting clients. A lot of people turn to a variety of other sources, whether it's you're buying leads from SmartAsset or Planswell or another lead vendor. But the problem is still contingent, or the problem still exists, that sales is the issue. Sales, i.e. appointment setting, and really cold calling becomes the issue. Everything is contingent. If you're buying leads, you're not generating them yourself, or you don't have a radio funnel, or you don't have a webinar or a seminar funnel that leads to just booked appointments from the event or from the radio show. If you don't have that, you need sales. And even with those things, you need sales if you want to maximize the appointments per person who calls in or per person who raises their hand, they want more info. And so I'm going to share with you and take away all excuses you have for appointment setting, the script and the process that we use to train appointment setters who are booking 20 to, I'd say, 15 to 20 appointments every single week, who don't have industry experience. And it's going to be different than what you've seen before because it's designed in a way that is what's working now. Because sales changes, so parts of sales change over the years. Clearly, like you can't just like pitch someone's stock ideas. They're just going to be completely turned off over the phone. And so this is what's working now. And so I'm going to share with you what's working now and why it's working. And the more important part of that is why it's working so that you're empowered to then build and iterate as you notice things start to work less or become less effective. The framework, that is hugely important. I want you to think about whenever you're training someone, they need to know, obviously, why they're being trained a certain way, what function they serve within the business. But the same is true, the function of the person calling and the person being called. Those have to be defined so that the person who's calling doesn't forget, hey, I need to ask this question, this question, this question to unveil a potential problem so that I can book the appointment. You need to dig and illustrate to the appointment setter, there are certain criteria that you need to get someone to accept that they have a problem and that they want to solve their problem. I want to share with you the setter role from my perspective. The setter role is the most critical, the greatest mover within the financial advisory business. This is my opinion. The setter role, the person who gets you in front of qualified people week in, week out, month in, month out. That person is the most important within the business. You may disagree. The process that you take to train them and to train an efficient, effective appointment setter is going to be what separates you from a firm that struggles to grow. Because an effective setter is consistent. A good business grows consistently or has consistent growth. Obviously, there are trends in the market, but a good setter is compensated in a way that also is consistent with that. So the way that we compensate, just give you a big picture, is that it's performance only. It is strict to here's what we need, here's what needs to get done. If you can, great. If you can't, it's not a good fit. There are other roles of the business that are not performance only, but that needs to be something that is clear, especially if you have a registered person appointment setting for you. It needs to be clear that their job is contingent on them creating consistency for you that ultimately creates income consistency for them. Personally, if you look at firms, and this is not from firsthand experience, it's from speaking to advisors who've been at firms like this. If you look at firms like Fisher or really any other sales heavy firm, there's commission up front, less commission year 2, less commission year 3, or a lot of commission and it drifts away because you want to create incentive. That's how you create incentive, or that is one way you create incentive. And so that's kind of the compensation structure. You want to have it focused on the goal. You want the person to be compensated based on the goal, whatever that goal is. And by the way, that's how we charge. Appointment shows up that's qualified. That said, I want to get into a bit of the flow, a bit of what is important for a person who's appointment setting to know while they're on the phone. So thinking about the flow of any call is important because you need to know where you're going and where a person is. So I'm going to outline, and I can share with you, if you'd like to visit the link that is popping up on the screen here, the flow that we use and the flow that we train with. Basically, it starts with an introduction. Why are you calling and who are you? Those are the biggest things. The next thing we do after that is once we've gained consent to continue, we move into the pitch, which is explaining the situation, what's going on, asking if it fits. Hey, does the shoe fit? A lot of people we speak to overpaying taxes significantly because of X, Y, Z. Does that make sense? Does that fit? After that point, when the person either accepts or denies, we try to dig. We try to investigate. That's the third part of our flow. We need to uncover a problem. The way I relate this to advisors, it's not what they're telling you is the effect or the symptom. It's more so what is the real cause, the real ailment that they're feeling. That's the problem. So when someone goes to language learning, let's say a person is learning English, they don't learn English for the purpose of just knowing the language and knowing how arduous it can be to connect there, and there, or to know and discern when the right, how to say them and when the right use is. They're more interested in making friends. They're more interested in using English to make friends, not just for the love of the language. So they want to make friends. They don't really care. And so that's a medium for them to make friends. The symptom of the person not being able to communicate effectively in the US is that they don't have, one symptom is that they don't have friends. And so one way of solving that is learning English so they can communicate better. Anyway, you're getting my point. Clarifying. That's kind of the third and fourth point is investigation and clarifying. So those are hand in hand. So I'm not just finding out, hey, this person wants to learn English. They need a financial advisor, or they're overpaying in taxes. Why are they overpaying in taxes? And you want to dig there. The next thing you want to do, you acknowledge that you've talked to the person. Hey, it sounds like you've told me X, Y, and Z. You have an advisor, you're struggling with taxes, and you feel like your 401k, your peers are outperforming you in your 401k. One key note there on the summary is that is very helpful to get someone to recognize that you're a human being, or the appointment setter is a human being, and they're actually listening. And it's very powerful when someone likes the person who's setting the appointment. That is going to, you're almost going to apply that same charismatic feeling or the same charisma of the appointment setter and authority of the appointment setter to you as the advisor. So it's really important to know that when you're training this. And after the last two things is, do you think this can change, or are you stuck? If they feel like they can change, well, might be worth an appointment then, right? So now you close them. Might be worth an appointment, putting some time in the calendar. We're not going to push you, no obligation. Might be worth learning more about, right? That's our flow. There are a couple things in there that we do a bit differently and a couple things that you can think about training a bit differently. And one is we are very interested in having permission to continue. So that's the approach we take. And if you want the script, comment script below this video. If you want the flow, click on the link. Again, we're going to pop it up one more time. The flow is helpful because it's going to be evergreen. You're going to be able to see, hey, this is the flow that worked, but the script, for whatever reason, we're just losing people with the script, or maybe we need to adjust the flow, which is kind of our framework for building, or the foundation that we're going to build upon. It's helpful to have as background info. And so what I want you to really consider is the framework and the flow of these calls helps your appointment setter know why they're calling. And it also helps them get back on track to where they need to go to set a good appointment. My name is Aaron. I own 7-Figure RIA. We book appointments for advisors who want qualified, easily closable leads, week in, week out, month in, month out. Our track record speaks for ourselves, speaks for itself. And if you want to have qualified appointments on your calendar consistently, you want to learn a bit more, visit our website, check us out, schedule a call. Take care.